The Carmita Mae Hall Story by her son Ozie L. Hall. Ozie Lee Hall Jr. is a 176-page, 37-chapter Black family heritage book independently published in 2025. The publisher is Advanced Systems Publishing, or Advanced Education Systems Publishing, in Spring Lake, North Carolina. This is one of the books about a Delaware-based family, helping us celebrate the Blue Hen State as the first state in the Union, as we launch the Black Family Heritage Book Archive in celebration of America's 250th birthday. One passage in the book, on pages 17 and 18, reads, Carmita's father had spent the better part of his childhood in the home of his paternal grandfather, Harrison Jenkins, in Chestertown. Harrison was a school teacher and had the reputation of being perhaps the most intelligent man on Maryland's Eastern Shore. William's father was a renowned poet and intellectual who earned a master's degree from Lincoln University in 1903. Carmita's father, William E. Jenkins, was a very intelligent Black man. Many people began to rely on his thinking and leadership skills on the island. William could swim, he could sing, and he knew the Bible. Maryland passed at least 15 Jim Crow segregation laws between 1870 and 1957. Carmita lived through Jim Crow segregation and witnessed the new generations of young Blacks born in the 1980s, 1990s, and 2000s who had no idea what it was like in the past. She used to tell her children to watch out for snakes in the path. From the book's title and exemplary passage on pages 17 and 18, we learn that Hall wrote this book to showcase his mother and their ancestors as virtuous, intelligent community members. More specifically, to showcase them as accomplished, respected, and indefatigable. To depict both family hardships and triumphs. To reveal family engagements in educational pursuits, including at Lincoln University. And to demonstrate that his ancestors knew the Bible. Back cover reads, Ozie L. Hall is the third son of Carmita Mae Jenkins Hall. This book is written from materials collected over a lifetime. This is my way of honoring my mother who gave so much. Carmita Mae Jenkins Hall was born in the Great Depression with a birth weight of less than 3 pounds. Doctors predicted she would not survive more than 2 weeks. Carmita transitioned over 95 years later, after 5 children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Her legacy lives on. The love she infused in her children and family is epic. She came from excellent stock. The Jenkins, Armstrong, Coleman, and White families. We sing her praises at the gates. From this, we get that Hall wrote this family treasure to honor his mother's legacy and to depict overcoming hardships and to show how love works in family and to depict the Jenkins, Armstrongs, Colemans, and Whites as ancestors of excellent stock. As a reminder, authors, including Black genealogy book authors, often reveal their reasons for writing in their dedications, acknowledgments, prefaces, forewords, and other early and key words. This book's dedication reads, "This book is dedicated to the memory of a great woman of excellent character and spirit, my mother, Carmita Mae Jenkins Hall." From this, we get that Hall wrote this Black family heritage book to memorialize his mother. An excerpt from the book's first chapter and start of the second reads, "Carmita was born on May 4, 1929, and the stock market crashed just a few months later in October. Carmita was born at the beginning of the Great Depression. The entire family struggled during its early years as the nation wrangled with massive unemployment and escalation of poverty. Conditions were worse in the Black community than experienced by whites. Deal Island did provide a kind of shelter during those early years, since it was so isolated. Self-reliance was the norm. Back in Wilmington, Delaware, where William and Violet first met, William's father was being sent to prison to serve a 15-year sentence for manslaughter. William Henry Jenkins took the life of a married woman who had deceived and humiliated him at the height of his fame as a poet. Tragic situation devastated son William Everett, and William Henry's other children were left to fend for themselves as their mother abandoned William Henry and her children to join Father Divine's International Peace Mission. These were very difficult times for William and Violet. Despite it all, Carmita was surrounded by a loving family with loving grandparents in Fred and Lizzie Armstrong just up the hill. The Armstrong family were founding members of the John Wesley United Methodist Church that was first built in 1889. Carmita's great-uncle William Armstrong had been the musical leader and preached at the church as a licensed Methodist minister. Carmita's great-grandfather, Harriet Armstrong, had been a pastor and organizer at John Wesley. Her grandfather, Fred Armstrong, donated land to expand the church site, including rebuilding the church in 1914, adding a meeting hall and expanding the cemetery. Carmita's family roots ran deep on Deal Island. She often reminisced about her early years on the island. Carmita remembers her grandfather, Fred Armstrong, singing old songs. And telling stories as they sat around the fire, eating sweet potatoes and collard greens. Violet met in Wilmington, Delaware at Howard High School, where they were both students. Howard High School was the only significant high school that Blacks in the region could attend during Jim Crow segregation. Violet traveled from Deal Island, Maryland, to Wilmington, Delaware, to attend high school and study cosmetology. William had recently moved to Wilmington with his father, William Henry Jenkins, and his mother, Mary Elizabeth Coleman Jenkins. From this excerpt, we get that Hall wrote this Black family heritage book to put his family in a wider historical context, to convey differences between Black and white families, to highlight Wilmington, Delaware, and its Black Dunleith community, to spotlight the church's role in his family legacy, and to show how his family became worthy of enduring legacy. An excerpt from chapter 11 reads, William Henry Jenkins, the father of William E. Jenkins, was well known as a Negro poet and was compared to the famous Negro poet Paul Laurence Dunbar. He traveled around the region reciting his poetry on invitation of many churches, community groups, and local organizations. He was sought after as a guest speaker. William Henry Jenkins obtained a bachelor's degree in divinity in 1901 and a master's degree in divinity in 1903 from Lincoln University. From this excerpt, we get that Hall wrote this book in part to connect his family with famous figures in Black history, to elevate his own and other ancestors' reverence, and to explore the role of educational institutions, including HBCU Lincoln University, in his family's genealogy. In excerpts from chapters 27 and 30, we read that Carmita worked for a short period after Jack's death at the University and Whist Club in the kitchen. The University and Whist Club was an exclusive elite club for wealthy white people in Wilmington. She would come home and tell stories about the rich guests and the kitchen staff and waitresses and waiters who worked there. The wealthy guests would often be rude, mistreat, and verbally abuse the waitstaff. All the workers hated their jobs. The head chef was a Russian immigrant named Shivesta. Mr. Shivesta would stick his thumb up his rectum and put his thumb in the guest's food for payback for guests' mistreatment of the staff. Many of the wealthy white guests would send compliments to the chef for such delicious food. Mr. Shivesta would tell them he used his secret ingredient and come back to the kitchen and laugh with the staff. Many years later, Carmita's son, Ozie, was invited to a business luncheon meeting at the University and Whist Club when he served as executive director of Juvenile Awareness Education Program, Inc. Privy to the story of Mr. Shivesta, Ozie declined to drink or eat anything. Continuing, Carmita grew up in a family that often played the card game pinochle for entertainment. Carmita was a consistent pinochle player throughout her lifetime. Carmita and her sisters got together to play pinochle several times a week during their retirement years. Pinochle was played at every family event. Sometimes Violet's brother Othello would play the piano and entertain the family between pinochle games. Carmita loved to sing and sometimes sang with Uncle Othello. Talking about the University and Whist Club, playing cards and piano, and singing, Hall is conveying here that a purpose of this Black family heritage book is to convey a flavor of ancestral work life, as well as reveal quotidian ancestral life. Overall, in his own words, we see that Hall wrote this Black family heritage book in part for reasons ranging from showcasing his mother and other ancestors as virtuous, intelligent community members and depicting family hardships and triumphs, to showing the role of educational institutions, work life, and quotidian activities in his family's genealogy. We also see how Hall accomplishes his mission, demonstrating with what tools and techniques we write Black family heritage books. Hall is a history scholar and charter school advocate who has written at least 10 books. These include 7 Steps to Start a Public Charter School, Converting Traditional Public Schools to Charter Schools, The KCA Story, Reparations, The Healing of America, Reparations, Black Americans and Our Story, Black America's Identity Crisis, Impact of Vestiges of de jure segregation on student achievement gaps in Pitt County, and A Black Demand for Police Reform, A New Paradigm. Often in his work and commentary, Hall stresses the importance of understanding the world through empirical evidence. And this is just a reminder here that empirical evidence alone does not permit Black genealogy book writers or anyone to achieve our goals. So, in addition to why we write Black genealogy books, it's important to understand the tools and methods we use to write them, with what we write Black family heritage books. In addition to empirical evidence, among the elements Hall uses are family lore, his special affinity for Black families, and words of praise and honor, not unbiased words or words uninfused with an agenda. In episode 2 of this Why We Write series, we explore, in their own words, why William Stewart and Theophilus Gould Stewart wrote the 1913 pioneering community Black genealogy titled Gouldtown.